Hey everyone, Josh Hayes here for ScoreStreak.com, and today I'm going to bring you my top 5 must-have resources for daily fantasy players. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the host of the Fantasy Hoops Insider podcast. I also host the Daily Fantasy Advisor podcast, and I write for RotoWire.com. And when I'm not doing that, I play daily fantasy sports full-time. ScoreStreak.com is my absolute favorite DFS site to play on. And if you go to ScoreStreak.com/leaderboards, you can see that Team FS Insiders at me has been #1 for every day this year in January in terms of points and wins. So that way you know the advice you're getting it is all legit. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the number 5 resource that you need. And right now, that would be a daily fantasy app. So all the big sites who are legit and take it seriously have an app: DraftKings, FanDuel, and so does ScoreStreak. And I've used all 3. All of them are very good. From my experience and the feedback that I've got from other people who have used the ScoreStreak app as well, is among the 3, that's the absolute easiest to use. And that sort of lends itself to the simpler format that ScoreStreak uses itself for its DFS game, since there's no salary cap. So that all just makes it just a smooth app for you to use. But all 3 of them are good. But the bottom line is, when it comes to game time locks, 30 minutes before game time, if you don't have an app, it's going to be almost impossible throughout the season, especially if you're serious and playing every day, to be at your computer 30 minutes before game time at home or on your laptop. So some news is going to break at some point. You're going to need to get somebody out of your lineup quick. And if you don't have a daily fantasy app in order to do that, then you're probably going to be costing yourself money and some wins down the line here or there whenever you get into that situation. So if you have your phone, you have your mobile device, and you have your app, you're going to be ready to make those changes on the fly. The number 4 resource that I would have is you're going to need a daily lineup referral here, and the best place that I like to go to is rotowire.com/basketball. If you do that, and right under there in the menu is a link to daily lineups. You can click that, and it's completely free. RotoWire does have a subscription base, but this part of it is updated on a continual basis for all the latest breaking news in terms of who's in and out of the lineup there. So if you want to know who's starting and who's inactive on a daily basis, RotoWire publishes all the lineups in the matchups and updates that as soon as they know, or as soon as the news breaks that somebody is starting or not starting for the day. So make sure you check that out. There's a couple other places that you can go in terms of sites and information, but that one's always consistent in terms of being updated and being correct. So that's what I like to use. So that's rotowire.com/basketball, and then you click the daily lineups link there in the menu. The number 3 resource for me is Twitter. You definitely need to stay on top of the news, and for me, nobody breaks more news than Twitter does before any other site or anything else gets picked up. Most beat writers and people who cover the NBA will post it on Twitter before they do anything else, and that's how you find out about stuff. For me, one of the best follows on Twitter is at RotoWire Kyle NBA. That's Kyle McEwen. He's the NBA editor for RotoWire.com, and he retweets a lot of great stuff from all the beat writers. So rather than trying to figure out all the beat writers that you need to follow and having them all in one spot, you can actually follow Kyle on Twitter, and he's retweeting all kinds of great stuff in terms of NBA and stuff that's going to be relevant for fantasy NBA, regular NBA, daily lineups, all that stuff. And he's great in terms of asking questions if you have any fantasy relevant content that you want to ask him on Twitter as well. So make sure you give him a follow at RotoWire Kyle NBA. That's one of the best follows around in my mind. The number 2 resource that you need is a really good depth chart, and there's a couple different sites out there that provide them. Some of the other sites that are mainstream, like ESPN, just has a basic one. RotoWorld has one. It's not great in my mind. It's okay. One of the better ones for me, in my mind, is RotoWire's once again. So if you go to rotowire.com and click the basketball tab, right in there in that menu, they have depth charts. And the awesome thing that they do that most other sites don't do, as far as I know, is they take a line and draw a line through any injured player that is not going to be active for that day or is out for any significant period of time. So you can actually just look at the depth chart and see, all right, Kemba Walker's out. This is the guy that's below him. Or Carmelo Anthony's out, so that means that Lance Thomas or Galloway is going to be the next man up in your fantasy lineups there. So you can see directly who could be a nice value, cheap play in your daily fantasy lineups when the expected starter is out. The other depth charts, you get the starters and then you get the bench, and it's going to be a lot tougher to figure out. In terms of like season-long and all-around depth charts, rosterresource.com is an awesome website. They cover NBA, NHL, NFL, and they do baseball better than anyone else I know. So for keeper and dynasty purposes, for people who use minor leaguers and want to take a look at their rankings there. For NBA, they do some pretty great stuff too. They actually rank players by usage rate in the starting lineups there. So you'll see a number next to them on the roster, and you can sort of figure out what that is and if you know how to use usage rate, that's a great thing and a great tool for daily fantasy players. I actually got a chance to interview the owner of the website, Jason Martinez, who's on Twitter at MLB Depth Charts. Great guy, very knowledgeable, has a great team of people working with him, and whenever there's an update, he actually tweets it out on his account there. So they're very good about keeping everything up to date as far as all the latest moves down to minor leaguers, rosters trending over for every sport. So they're on top of it all. Great resource for you to check out, rosterresource.com. And the number one resource that you need for yourself as a daily fantasy player is you. You're your best resource. So try to watch as many games as possible if you can. Right now, the NBA is at its half-season point, and so NBA League Pass is half off right now. It's only $99, and the mobile version is only $69, so you can take advantage of that. If you don't want to spend the money on that right now, but you're a DirecTV user, they have a lot of local channels that end up being just like a season pass for those particular teams in your local area. So for me being in Vegas, for example, the Golden State Warriors, Sacramento Kings, LA Clippers, and the Lakers are all considered local teams, and they basically broadcast every one of those games for you. So I'm able to watch all those. But when you're sweating daily fantasy out there and you're trying to watch as many games as possible, even when I'm out to dinner, if there's a TV around, I'll try to ask the server to put on a game. And what I like to do is just try to watch a game or sweat a game that isn't your favorite team, that you just have action on. So check out an Orlando Magic game, versus Toronto or whatever, and figure out why Elfrid Payton's usage rate and why he's starting to perform at a pretty high level. And so when you do things like that, you sort of figure out, if you watch the game, you see, oh, this guy got 35 minutes, and it looks like he might be, a fantasy option, but when in reality, the starter got a technical or ejected in the first quarter, and that's why, the resulting backup put those sort of numbers up in big-time action there. So a lot of things that you can't figure out from the box score unless you actually watch the games. So you have to be your best resource, your number one resource, if you really want to win and succeed in daily fantasy sports. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. A lot of tournament action going on each and every weekend here on ScoreStreak, so make sure you check that out. Still have the 100% deposit bonus up to $500. They have the app for free to download, the ScoreStreak app, in the iPhone App Store, so make sure you take advantage of that. If you have any questions, feel free to tweet me at FantasyHoopsPod, and make sure you give ScoreStreak a follow at ScoreStreaker as well. I'm Josh Hayes, and good luck in all your fantasy matchups, everybody.